who are able to give their time to Democracy for Democrats tonight. So I just want to give a huge shout out, first and foremost, to those that are helping make this meeting happen tonight. So thank you very much. I've called this meeting to order. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Hunter Brown, who is doing a dual role. One I surprised him with, one I didn't. And I will let him give our land acknowledgement for tonight.
Thank you, Carrie. On behalf of King County Democrats, I acknowledge the land on which we stand today as the traditional home of the Coast Salish and Duwamish tribes and the traditional home of all tribes and bands within the Suquamish, Tulalip, Snoqualmie, and Muckleshoot nations. Since time immemorial, they have hunted, fished, and gathered upon these lands in a balanced and sustainable manner. We thank them as the original caretakers of these lands and waters and for their continued advocacy and stewardship. Furthermore, we recognize their invaluable contributions, as well as all tribes, to our state, history, economy, and culture. We respect their sovereignty, their right to self-determination, and honor their sacred spiritual connection with the land and water. We'll strive to be honest about our past mistakes and trespasses and bring about a future that includes their people, stories, and voices to form a more just and equitable society. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we are moving on to our consent agenda, which I'm going to pop into our chat. I'm going to put this for everyone in meeting. We made one change to our agenda. So if you can review that, all we did was flip Alexander Erickson's PCO report with our endorsement committee report. So Alexander has to get on the road, and it's for a super amazing reason. So by all means, we will always accommodate someone who has been such an amazing volunteer. So with that, are there any objections to adopting our agenda for tonight and approving our July minutes? Are there any objections? Are there any objections? Are there any objections? Hearing none, both our agenda for tonight and our minutes from our July meeting are adopted. Thank you so much. Next is our chair's report. And this is really, oh, Chris Porter, I see your hand.
Very real quickly, I hate to interrupt, but who is it that gives permission so that when you put something in the chat, I don't have to seek permission, I can just view it?
It's a really good question.
It came up through Google Docs and I tried to open it and it says, you need permission.
Oh, so are you using the same Gmail that we have for you as the rep for the 34th?
Probably, I can't say. Sure, who knows? I'd have to check that, so I'll check it.
Okay, use that email, and if you run into problems, if you wouldn't mind emailing either Melissa Taylor or Jeremy Barksdale to make sure that you get that permission so that you can see the agenda, because each of the KCDCC.
Yeah, I'll make it viewable for everybody right now too.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. And we are here on a September night. I'm really excited to come together again after summer. And before I go into my chair's report, this is part of my chair's report, but I would like to start off with an acknowledgement that one of our incredible state leaders, a supporter of King County Democrats and a candidate running for the governor's office, recently shared the passing of his mom. And by all accounts, the stories shared about her strength, and her legacy are truly moving. And on behalf of the King County Democrats, I want to extend our most sincere condolences to Attorney General Bob Ferguson and recognize this moment. And I hope everyone has had a great summer break. I will just say I've loved conversations I've had with so many of you about local engagements, whether it has been a summer picnic, a barbecue, a social gathering, life events. I sent my oldest off to college, and I've had some great conversations with voters and many of you about getting kids settled back in school. It's chaos in the most beautiful form that you get to settle back in and realize it's a change of seasons. And today really marked this event with this storm. And what I want all of us to take away with is right now, it's the time we get noisy. We get behind our endorsed candidates in ways that their campaigns need us. We get involved in conversations to get out the vote with our family, our neighbors, our friends, our community, not only to vote in the elections, but to learn about these candidates running for office that will affect their lives, not only ours, but those that we care about and are dear to us in King County. And here are some truths that I hold dear as I have conversations around the county. One, we are coming out of a pandemic that completely scrambled our society and need leaders that can bring new ideas and adapt old ones. Income equality and housing unaffordability are policy choices, not decrees from higher power. 3, we are ultimately empowered to select our leaders with our sacred vote. So we use it and help others to use their voice. And people ask, what are King County Democrats doing in local elections? We're defining what it means to be a Democrat, actually solving problems, supporting solutions that work, working on these provable outcomes that other areas, states, and cities have leveraged by leading with data-driven solutions, compassion and approach, because change is hard. To do the work that solves problems we all agree to. And local elections are historically low turnout years. When these are the crucial election cycles that matter the most to the effects that we see every day around us. Local elections are so important, and people say, what does it mean to be a Democrat? Again, to employ solutions that grapple with reality. We're engaging in what it means to be a Democrat in 2023, putting our efforts and focus for solving problems, leveraging data, not short-term tough love, by contrast that we know empirically doesn't work. It never has. And just saying things without doing things, we're not in the 90s anymore. We're working for folks in local communities to address systemic inequities around affordable housing. And we know the lack of quality, affordable housing exacerbates social issues such as homelessness, poor educational attainment, mental and physical health conditions. I want us all to get behind the people that will change the policy, that will accomplish what we all value. And with that, I just want to say thank you for all you do. Truly, my ask as county chair is that if you have 2 to 4 hours to volunteer, to please reach out, email me, tell your neighbor to email me. I would be happy to connect them with Alex, our field plan, with what their passion is, but we need volunteers, and we can leverage all the volunteers going into this general election. Before I turn it over to Alexander, I just want to say, people have been asking around the county about what our early endorsement process is. It is, we are focused. So from the county perspective as chair, I want to be crystal clear. We are focused on 2023, November 7th, because the attention is deserved to those that are running for office as public servants, as Democrats, and they deserve our attention. We as a leadership team have talked about what does 2024 look like. We will get through 2023. I'm going to give, not me, but collectively, our endorsement committee, who has done the yeoman's work, is getting a break. We will work on our questionnaires, and this is just loose, by the end of the year. As a body, we will maybe, possibly, hopefully, yes, see what the questionnaires look like at our e-board meeting in January of 2024. And that's on a really escalated schedule. But we want to do this thoughtfully, inclusively, and with grace. So we are not early endorsing. And I know a lot of legislative districts, you have their different rules, but at the core, as appropriate, we are focused on 2023. We will task our team, but giving them grace to live their life and be thankful and grateful for the time that they contribute to us, for democracy, for Democrats. And in our January meeting, at the earliest, we will evaluate the questionnaires that will determine what 2024 candidates will look like. It's a really big task. And I don't want to minimize what a big task that is, but we can do both things at the same time. So I just appreciate our team, our endorsement team. I don't have language, but beyond measure, they're doing amazing work. And we will address that in 2024. So with that, we will do two things. As we move through our agenda, I'm going to turn it over to Alexander Erickson, who is our PCO chair, to walk through what the county is doing at the ground. And then we will move on to the endorsement process, and I will bring in Martin Cheney. And with that, I will now open the floor and turn it over to Alexander Erickson. Thank you.
Yeah, hi everyone. So you all have probably been hearing about this for quite some time, hopefully. But we are finally getting to the point where the rubber meets the road on implementing our canvas plan for the 2023 elections. We will be holding 18 events across all but one of our LDs. I believe the 31st is the only one that doesn't have an event that has an election going on inside of it. Around 2/3 of our endorsed candidates are being invited to at least one event. And this is everyone up and down the ticket. So not just county councilors, but all the way down to people running for special district, whether that's hospital districts, school council, or I think we have a couple water district people represented in our list as well. If you're running for a local office and you are in one of these areas, are inviting you to the event. If someone's been omitted, please let me know. But at this point, I've reached out to all of our LDs and I've received back the lists of people that they want invited in addition. And so I've gone ahead and added those people when that's been appropriate. I'm still waiting to hear back from the 1st, 5th, 12th, and 32nd LDs. So if you are from one of those LDs, please check your inbox. You should have received an email outlining all of your events. I would appreciate a response on that. But yeah, I mean, you can see our list of dates. We have 4 jurisdictions where we're running 2 events. These are the jurisdictions we believe will be the most impactful for our events. For 3 out of the 4 of them, these were also the lowest turnout in the primary. I believe for Kent, we saw 20% turnout relative to 30% countywide, which is 2/3 of what we would hope it to be. So we really want to focus on boosting turnout. That's really the goal of this whole exercise, is to boost turnout. We're not going out there to do a lot of persuasion. We're going out there to make sure people know that the election is happening and that they turn out and vote, hopefully for the candidates that King County has endorsed, and we'll be targeting people we think will vote that way, but we're not going to be spending our time on the doors debating policy at for every office level, mostly because I don't have time to memorize all the talking points for all of the different candidates across all these different jurisdictions. But we will be pretty much everywhere across the county. 80 candidates are invited. I'm not sure if all of them will show up. We've already received 17 RSVPs. That was last updated 2 days ago, and I believe my inbox has some emails that I need to get back to. So that number is probably higher, hopefully closer to 30 at this point. And we will I'm very excited to say that we'll be bringing in congressional representatives to speak at these events, as well as our state chair, Shasti Conrad, will be at several of these events to headline them for us. So we are doing our best to bring in people to highlight all of these awesome races. I am working on getting back to everyone. I ask for and appreciate your patience. There's certainly a lot of moving parts that I am trying to manage. But if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask me at this time. Yeah, Jackie.
And I just, so Jackie, I see your hand raised.
Yes, Alex, it's not clear who is going to be doing the Google Doc for volunteer sign up. Is that something that you're going to be doing, or he's going to be doing that?
Yeah, so I'm going to be sending out an email. Hopefully, I'm going to start going through and sending out these emails tomorrow for all 18 of these events, laying out who's going to be in charge for each of the events for doing what, or also just giving the list of responsibilities and asking who has volunteers that can take that on. It's going to be something that's going to hopefully be spread out, that everyone will be able to collaborate on, so that we're not burdening any one LD too much. That's kind of the goal. And I know I have an email from you, Jackie, that I need to get back to. Okay, Melissa.
My question was similar, was that if folks in this meeting wanted to sign up for these, it sounds like we're waiting on an email from you.
Yep, I'm going to be going through and create events, both a Google event and a vote builder event, so that you guys have links to send out so that people can sign up for them. It's just right now it's been getting back to RSVPs, and so yeah, I have a limited amount of time in my life. And I'm doing
the fine thing. I was just looking for whether or not we can start signing up today.
Yeah, we will hopefully be sending out these sign up links this week. Yeah. Yep. All right.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
If not, then I look forward to meeting all of you at the events that you will come to in your district when we have an event there.
This is a really exciting, I just want to say we so appreciate everyone's effort, and it's a really exciting opportunity. When I send out my follow-up email from this, from our meeting that you can share with your legislative districts and with your networks, we will put in both of those links. So that's really important. And thank you so much. Next on our agenda, I am going to introduce Martin Cheney, because we've got our September endorsements, and we put into our call to meeting the endorsement report from our committee. And with that, I will turn it over to Martin Cheney.
Okay, thanks very much, Carrie. So the status of endorsements now is that King County has already made endorsements in almost every race, well, in many, many races across King County. But with the primary election, there are some races where our endorsed candidates did not advance, and some races where, for various reasons, we haven't gotten around to actually making recommendations. So at this time, we have 3 races where we have deliberated and reached consensus within the committee on who to recommend. And those races are for Highline School District Position 1, Carlos Ruiz, Seattle School District Position 3, Evan Briggs, and Shoreline School District Position 1, Hazim Ghanim. And so the endorsement committee is bringing forward recommendation that King County endorse those candidates. And so when I conclude my report, I would like to, on behalf of the committee, make a motion to endorse those candidates as a slate that would be subject, of course, to anybody in the executive board requesting that any one or more of those be pulled for separate consideration. Regardless, those endorsement votes would require a majority vote tonight to pass. And then in addition to that, we track single LD jurisdictions. The King County Endorsement Committee does not make a separate evaluation of those candidates, but if the LD for a single LD jurisdiction makes an endorsement, then they are eligible for endorsement by King County, again, by a simple majority vote. And so there are currently 3 such races that we are aware of where the King County does not currently have an outstanding endorsement. And so those races are Mercer Island School District Position 1, Christina Martinez, the Vashon School District Position 5, Juniper Rognaby, and City of Snoqualmie City Council Position 5, Mandeep Kaur Walia. And at the appropriate time, on behalf of the endorsement committee, I would like to bring forward a motion to endorse those candidates as a slate, again, subject, of course, to any executive board member wishing to pull those. And so just sort of in summary, I wanted to point out that the endorsement committee is trying to keep everybody focused on the primary election. And so we are, as individuals, putting our time into those get out the vote and candidate support activities, which means that the committee is not doing a lot of meetings at this time. But our primary focus after the November election, or as we have spare time leading up to them, is going to be working on the 24 election cycle. And the first order of work for that is to update the questionnaires for the federal and statewide offices, because as you are all aware, I'm sure, our election cycle works in sort of a 2-year sequence. And so the races that are up for election next year are generally all very different than the races that were up for election this year, which means that we have not reviewed things like the governor, lieutenant governor, commissioner of public lands, attorney general, and all those other fine statewide offices this year. So they are due for revision, and we are beginning that work. If there are people here, or if you know anybody who is willing and able to commit significant time and effort to that work, we would be very interested in hearing from you. And Beth Baisley, our vice chair, will be leading those efforts, and we're going to try to divide things up into multiple subcommittees for all the different questionnaires. Which leads into, I know it's a question on many, many people's minds about how we're going to do early endorsements for 2024. I want to echo our chair, Carrie Barnes's comments that we are trying to keep focused on the 2023 election right now. As our rules currently stand, King County is not inclined to do early endorsements, but we understand that there are many, many people who are very interested in that. And certainly individual LODs are free to run their own endorsement processes. So I know that all of you folks run endorsement processes which are different from each other, both in their structure, in the way that you evaluate candidates, and when you evaluate candidates. So there are some LDs that are inclined to do early endorsements when they feel that's appropriate. There are others who are more reticent to do that. I would like to point out that one of the large focuses for 2024 is going to be the legislative races. Legislative races are inherently single LD jurisdictions. So that means that King County will always defer to the LDs on those races. But we understand that the LDs like to leverage our questionnaires. So one of the main pieces of work for us is to update those state representative and state senator questionnaires for 24. So again, we are hoping to get substantial work done for that, and to be able, the goal is to have questionnaires ready for preliminary review in January, with the hope that we might be able to then adopt them fairly early in the year. That's a major acceleration from the schedule that's mandated by our endorsement rules. So I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that all of you wish me good luck on getting that work done. And once we have that work done, then we can start to talk about, what races and under what circumstances it might be appropriate to do some early endorsements. But that will certainly require lots of work and thoughtfulness on the part of all of you. And so I look forward to your input on that. And I see there are lots of hands up. I don't know if they are people who are trying to make motions or people who are asking questions, but I'll try to be quiet for a moment and let Carrie figure that out.
Thank you so much, Martin. This is a great introduction into our endorsement process tonight and our future. Tim Burns, do you have a question for Martin? Do you have a question for Martin? Hunter, do you?
Yes, absolutely. Martin, in your breakdown of the first slate,
Yeah.
you mentioned the Highline School District Position 1 and Shoreline School District Position 1. Both of those show up on the agenda that was sent out as positions 4.
I might have read that.
They are position
They are
four.
Position 4, yes. Highline
Okay.
Position 4, Seattle School District Position 3, and Shoreline School District Position 4.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Shep, do you have a question for Martin?
It's not really a question. I wanted to pull Evan Briggs.
And I have, you are number 1 because you have responded first. So yes, I have that as a poll.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
all.
Yes. Paul Chapman.
Yeah, are we going to be endorsing in the Seattle City Council District 3 tonight? We hadn't, I don't know if we endorsed earlier, and the 43rd has endorsed Alex Hudson in that race.
So I will take motions from the floor after we do
Okay,
the
perfect.
of the
All right.
recommendations and then the single LD. So perfect. Thanks,
Thank you.
Paul. Thank you, Chair.
Yes.
Are there
Okay.
other questions for Martin Cheney, Chair of our Endorsement Committee? Thank you, Martin. I just want to say to you, to Beth, to Kat, to this entire team, I know Shep, you're a part of it, and you give all of you, again, I just want to say my profound appreciation for the volunteerism that you give to democracy on behalf of the Democratic Party. Thank you so much. And now we will get to the exciting part of tonight, which is we are going to be voting on 2 slates, which are exactly included in, let me see if I can get this link. Chris Porter, I see your hand raised.
Martin put a motion. Did you need a second, or were we just scrolling with it? I don't remember someone said second.
So My understanding is that under Robert's rules, if we operate that way, reports from committees which include a motion do not require a second because they are coming from the committee, which inherently represents more than enough people for a motion and a second. But if she doesn't want to follow that precedent, she could certainly ask for an additional second.
James Barker, I see your hand raised.
The relevant rule here is that proceeding according to our agenda does not require additional motions. Thank you.
So the motion on the floor, we're going to be doing two. The motion on the floor from the endorsement committee is the recommendation, which is their deliberative on the races where the King County Democrats endorsed a candidate failed to advance to the general election, and makes the following recommendations. And what we will be voting on, which I put into the chat, is Highline School District Position 4, Shoreline District Position 4. And what I'm going to recognize is a motion to pull from this list by the 36th Legislative District Representative Sept Salutsky. We are pulling Seattle School District 3, Evan Briggs. So the motion on the floor is for Highline School District Position 4, Shoreline District Position 4. Are there any objections to adopting the recommendation of our endorsement committee? Highline School District Position 4, Carlos Ruiz, Shoreline School District Position 4, Hazem Ginham. Are there any objections? Are there any objections? Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion has passed for the King County Democrats endorsement of Highline School District Position 4 and Shoreline School District Position 4. Next, we will be voting on the polled candidate, who is Seattle School District 3, Evan Briggs. The motion has been put forth in order by Sept Salutsky of the 36th. And Sept, would you like to speak to your motion?
Sure. The 36th endorsed her opponent, Ben Gittelstein, and our feeling was that he's a much better qualified candidate. So that's no disrespect for her, but that we just thought that he was a better candidate. So we wanted to support our endorsement of that candidate. And that's my motion. I believe there's another LD2 that also endorsed Ben and not Evan.
Thank you. Paul Chapman, are you speaking in favor or against the motion?
In favor. The 43rd also endorsed Ben.
Is there a motion against the endorsement of Seattle School District 3, Evan Briggs?
Do you mean a speaker?
I'm so sorry. Who is speaking?
That's Sept. Did you mean a speaker against?
Correct. I'm calling if there's a speaker against. I will give 2 minutes, both 2 in favor and 2 against. Hunter Brown.
Oh, I was going to speak in favor.
Do we have a speaker against the motion? Melissa Taylor.
I just wanted to clarify, this current motion is to endorse Evan Briggs, which has a 50% threshold, correct?
Correct.
All right. I just wanted to clarify for everybody this vote.
Thank you. Chris Porter.
I'm curious why then it seems like there's not a reason to have pulled his name from the slate because no one is speaking against or given any reason why.
I think it's backward is the problem. My motion was to pull her because we don't want to endorse her. We want to endorse Ben Gittelstein. The 43rd is in the same position. So the motion, what we're saying is backward to the motion. So we're all speaking against endorsement.
Yeah.
Bunny Hatchery.
Yeah, our endorsement committee met, and this was one of those where the initial candidate we endorsed didn't survive the primary, so we voted to endorse Evan Briggs. But within days after that, 3 LDs had endorsement meetings where they endorsed Briggs's opponent, Gittenstein. And we try, when we get the information from the LDs in a timely fashion, to not make an endorsement that goes counter to them. So it was too late for us to pull that endorsement. It had already been forwarded to you. But as a committee, I think on behalf of Martin and Beth, we have absolutely no objection. And we are thrilled that 3 LDs are reporting that they have done this endorsement for Gittenstein.
Thank you. So we have 2 in favor. Galaxy Marshall, are you speaking for or against? And I'm so sorry.
I've lost the trip plot. I could do a speech against the endorsement of Ben. Is that where we're at?
So the motion on the floor is that we have pulled Evan Briggs from the slate. Shep has moved forward Ben Gittelstein. I want to make sure I'm checking with my parliamentarian that we are talking the same motion. Shep spoke in favor of his candidate. We have not had one against. And James, I feel like I got lost a bit there. Is that correct?
That I seem to remember that. It got kind of confusing for me too. I think if there are no speakers against, then you can call for a vote.
Wait, Harry.
I would like to speak against, is what I'm saying. I would like to speak, if this is where we're at, I would like to speak against
I
the
thought
endorsement.
the motion was to, at this point, we were examining the endorsement of Briggs. So
But the
Shep was
speeches have been
speaking
in
against
favor
the
of endorsing
endorsement
Ben.
of Briggs.
But the speeches have been for endorsing Ben.
Right. But I believe
So
that the
do we need speeches
question,
against?
We've had 1 in favor. So I apologize. I'm going to be really, I'm going to use my, I'm going to clarify, and I apologize. We have pulled Evan Briggs from the slate. Shep has moved forward Ben, and we had a speech in favor. There were 2. Now we are against the motion, and I want to check with my parliamentarian. Is that where we are at exactly? Because I said 2 in favor and 2 against.
I'm a little bit lost.
I have a point of order.
A point of order.
Melissa, point of order.
So the first thing we need to do is the endorsement committee put on the floor the endorsement of Evan Briggs. And we did get a little lost. So I understand why we're all confused. But what we should have right now are speeches in favor of endorsing Evan Briggs and then speeches against endorsing Evan Briggs. And then somebody needs to make a motion to endorse Ben Gittenstein, have it seconded, and then have speeches for and against that. Because they have 2 completely different voting thresholds too.
thank you.
The motion on the floor. Martin Cheney, I see your hand raised.
Oh, sorry, I was just trying to help straighten out things here. Is that the motion on the floor actually is to endorse Evan Briggs, and we've gotten sort of tangled up in double negatives because there are lots of people who would like to move to endorse Ben Gittenstein instead, but that motion wouldn't be in order until we have completed a vote on the motion for Evan Briggs. And so the motion on the floor is actually to endorse Evan Briggs. Although I try to avoid lackluster speeches for candidates, I believe in trying to keep speeches positive rather than negative. So I could make a brief statement on behalf of Evan Briggs by the committee, but if we need that in the debate, although I would be happy to defer to other people that would make more.
Because the motion has been pulled, and now the motion that is on the floor, the motion on the floor is to endorse Evan Briggs. So sorry, we're gonna reevaluate. I apologize. So with that, a speech in favor, Martin, because it is the endorsement committee that you have put forward, I will give you the floor to speak in favor. We will then take a speaker against, we will take a speaker in favor, a speaker against, and then we will vote. Thank you.
So I think that it is important for people to understand that we have two very fine progressive Democratic candidates who are the sole people still in this race. The endorsement committee evaluates things based on interviews that they conduct very early in the election cycle. And we had a meeting to discuss these candidates. And in that discussion, I know that there were people who were in favor of each of the two candidates.
Point of order.
But yes.
While I appreciate your marching us through this, that hardly qualifies as a supporting speech for why we should endorse Evan Briggs. Not the history, but why he is a candidate is worthy of the support and endorsement of KCDCC. It sounds to me like you're giving the history of these two fine candidates and not why Evan Briggs should be endorsed.
So thank you, Chris Porter. I'm going to give the floor to Martin, who will get there regarding his 2-minute speech in favor from our committee. Thank you.
Thanks. I mean, I guess I consider process and deliberations to be an important part of information about candidates. What I wanted to convey is that simply that after a careful discussion, that the endorsement committee voted by a supermajority that they preferred Evan Briggs for this position, and that is why the recommendation has been brought forward.
Thank you. Do we have a speaker against the endorsement of Evan Briggs, Seattle School District 3? Please use your raised hand. Chris Porter, I see your hand raised.
Yes, I'm going to speak against this endorsement. One, because I am completely and utterly confused as to why the endorsement was pulled in the first place, although that's becoming a little bit more clear, but that even the chair could not soundly say with positive and overwhelming glowing ways why the committee made the endorsement of this candidate, his strengths, his weaknesses, his stick-to-itness, what he's doing on the campaign, why he is worthy of this endorsement. And if we can't get that out of the chair, then I don't support this endorsement.
Evan is female.
Excuse me, her endorsement. Sorry.
Thank you, Chris. Melissa Taylor, I recognize you. Are you speaking in favor?
Yes, I would speak in favor. So I appreciate everybody's deliberation on this. And the 46 did actually endorse Evan Briggs also. So I know that the endorsements committee was working without all of our LD endorsements because we endorsed late. But Evan has been endorsed by a number of local leaders. She has been deeply involved in the district in being an advocate for children with special education needs. And as we went through our candidate forums, listening to her, for me as a parent of a Seattle public school student, I do feel like Evan is the best choice for us. We are facing a lot of real challenges in this district, and having somebody who has been deeply engaged in the community the way that Evan has is important to me.
Thank you, Melissa. Do we have another speaker against? Shep, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, I'll just sort of reiterate that 2 LDs have endorsed Gittenstein, or at least 2 or 3. Bunny would have a better idea. And this information wasn't available to the endorsement committee prior to their making endorsements. We just finished our endorsement like the day, like a day after the King County Endorsement Committee made its endorsement, and we felt strongly that Ben Gittenstein would be the better of the 2 progressive candidates.
Thank you. We've had 2 speakers for and 2 speakers against. I am going to now call to vote on the endorsement of Seattle School District 3, Evan Briggs. And I'm going to ask that everyone with a asterisk who is a voting member of the King County Democrat Central Committee, please use your reactions tab. And it is at the bottom of your screen. If you can use your green yes button to vote in favor of the endorsement of Seattle School District 3 as a recommendation from our endorsement committee. If you wish to vote against the vote for School District 3, Evan Briggs, please use the no red checkbox in your reactions tab. And someone had a coffee. Oh, but great. Thank you. And we will give it 2 minutes. Thank you very much. And this is a simple majority vote. Please get your votes in. Again, yes, for the endorsement of Seattle School District 3, Evan Briggs. For her endorsement from our King County Endorsement Committee. For those that have an asterisk before your name. I'm going to say going once. Do you have an asterisk before your name? We have 24 in favor and 7 against. The motion passes. I'm going to clear all feedback. And next on our agenda is we are going to vote for the single legislative district jurisdictions as recommended by the endorsement committee. After we vote on this, I will take nominations from the floor, and Shep, that is where you can put forward the nomination for the other candidate who would then need a 2/3 majority vote for tonight's endorsement. The motion on the floor is the recommendation from the endorsement committee for the single LD jurisdiction races where King County Democrats has endorsed candidates eligible for endorsement by a majority vote of the King County Democrat Central Committee Executive Board. We are aware of two such candidates. They are Mercer Island School District Position 1, Christina Martinez, Vashon School District Position 5, Juniper Rogni. I'm sorry, there's 3. And City of Snoqualmie City Council Position 5, Mandeep Kaur Walia. Are there any objections to endorsing the slate of candidates from the endorsement committee for Mercer Island School District Position 1, Vashon School District Position 5, or City of Snoqualmie City Council Position 5? Are there any objections? Are there any objections? Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Each of these candidates are now endorsed by the King County Democrats Central Committee. Thank you so much. We are now at the point where I will take nominations from the floor. I will yield to Sept because he has reached out in order. So I'm going to call on, where is Sept? I just saw you.
Here I am.
Thank you.
I move to, I guess it's going to be a dual endorsement. I move to endorse Ben Gittenstein as a dual endorsement.
Thank you. Hunter Brown.
Do we need any seconds for these?
I'm going to ask my chair, but I believe that they're with the when we pull from the floor, Martin, I don't believe that they need a second. Is that correct?
I would expect that these do need a second because these are not committee motions. These are individual motions. So the
Perfect.
notion of second is to show.
It's not committee. Thank you. Is there a second to moving forward the endorsement of Ben Gittenstein?
I'll second.
Thank you. Hunter Brown.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Christiana Obey Sumner for Seattle City Council District 5.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Paul Chapman, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Alex Hudson for Seattle for Seattle City Council District 3.
Great. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you. Sophia Lee, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, just a question, not a recommendation. I was wondering, was there, and I think this is a question that I should have asked the endorsement committee, which I am on earlier before this meeting. I don't know why Seattle City Council D3 wasn't on the meeting schedule for endorsement or not, or I might be mistaken. Either Beth or Martin, could you respond to that?
And Martin, could you address Sophia's question of why we did not have Seattle City Council District 3?
Seattle City Council District 3. I believe that is simply because the committee, nobody on the committee was interested in moving forward a recommendation in that race at this time.
Oh, yeah, I just wasn't in the list of open races and such. That's why I'm asking. And that's also why I made the mistake also.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Shep, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, I have another motion. I would like to move for a dual endorsement for Debbie Carlson.
Is there a second? Is there a second to move forward Debbie Carlson for Seattle School Board?
I'll second.
Thank you. Chris Porter, I see your hand raised.
Yes, Chair. I'm just wondering if either you or Martin can, before we take these votes, remind the body of these floor nominations if there's already an endorsed candidate in those slots before we march down to that. I think we were already butting up against one, possibly two.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
I will endeavor to put that information forward. We will eventually be debating debating these endorsements, I assume, one at a time, and we are essentially just queuing those up. So I'm trying to check my spreadsheet here of status of these races. I apologize for not having them all memorized.
We are all human. Thank you so much. And Chris, that's a really great point. Thank you so much. Going in order, as we are looking at candidates who have been nominated from the floor, we are going to start in the order that they were received. And I got a little confused and I apologize. So moving forward, the first dual endorsement that we are looking at has been brought forth by Sept of the 36th Legislative District for Ben Gittenstein for Seattle School Board District 3. This will require a 2/3 majority vote of the executive board. I will take 2 speakers in favor and 2 against, and I will start with you, Shep, if you would
I have a
your nomination.
point of something before we start speeches.
Hi, Galaxy. Thank you.
I could be remembering wrong, but I feel like there was a speech in favor of endorsing Ben earlier.
And
So
I will take accountability for that because I was confused in the process. We then pivoted back to the sole discussion of Evan Briggs.
But so Ben is still going to end up with 3. It's not a giant deal, but Ben is still going to end up with 3 speeches in favor total at this meeting because of the speech earlier.
I'm going to ask my parliamentarian, but I believe you are correct.
I don't think you need to take 2 additional speeches.
Tell me more. So because Shep has already given his speech in favor and we had 1 against, go ahead.
Yeah, that's correct. It's not exactly in accounting for previous errors isn't really the strong suit of Robert's rules. But I think in the interest of fairness, it's better if we don't have 3 speeches.
Because we had 1 in favor, 1 against, 1 in favor, are we at a gap for 1 against before we move it to vote?
I think that would be acceptable.
Thank you. Galaxy Marshall, I see your hand raised.
Yes, I would like to speak against.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your participation. I
Yeah.
appreciate
Oh, I accidentally raised my hand again. Okay. So my face just got big. I'm so sorry. That probably ate into my time. All right. So I'm on the endorsement committee. I was present in the interviews. I've watched, I think, multiple school board forums with this race. They all kind of blend together, the school board forums. And my feeling around Ben is that he is phenomenal at pointing out problems. And I have not seen enough solutions from him. I feel that he often will say this needs to change, and he's right, but then he doesn't follow it up with a how. Like he has a kid in private school. He has talked about how we need to move kids from private school to public school. I agree. I just haven't heard a how. I would also like to respectfully disagree with something that was said earlier as a member of the endorsement committee. Having heard the discussion, which I believe is confidential, around this race, I don't feel that knowing the other LD's endorsements would have necessarily changed our endorsement, just from what was said and what wasn't, what the perspectives that were not represented. Sorry, I'm vague. I don't really know the confidentiality rules, but yeah, I was not impressed by this candidate. I was impressed by Evan Briggs, and I don't necessarily even feel that the recommendation would have been different knowing that the LD is endorsed, because again, great at pointing out things that are wrong. I have heard very little solutions or actions he would take as a school board member, and that worries me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We've heard 2 speeches in favor and 2 against. We will now move this to vote. And again, I'm going to ask you to go to your reactions tab. And the motion on the floor is for a dual endorsement of Ben Gittenstein for Seattle School District 3. If you can please use your reactions tab. Bunny Hatcher, I see your hand raised.
And what is the threshold for this? If we're going for a co-endorsement, is this 50% or 2/3?
2/3. This is a 2/3 majority.
Okay.
And I will give it 2 minutes. And all of those of you who are voting members who have a star before your name, please use your voice. Please vote. I will give it another minute. I will give it 30 more seconds. Please use the reactions tab. Thank you so much. We have 25 against, 8 for. The motion fails. I'm going to clear all feedback. And we are going to take up the next nomination from the floor, which has been brought. Christina Bunny Hatcher, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, and this is just to deliver a point of information that in this race, this would not be a co-endorsement. This is a race where we had endorsed Nilu Jenks. She did not make it through the primary. So now we are looking at making a fresh endorsement. We currently have no active endorsee in this position.
And because it is not a recommendation by the endorsement committee, I'm checking with the endorsement committee chair, Martin. Is this a 2/3 majority vote as
Yes.
it's on the floor?
Yes, this would be a 2/3 majority vote because it's coming from the floor. And just as a point of information, the endorsement committee did deliberate on this race, and we failed to reach our 2/3 supermajority for either Christiana Obey Sumner or her opponent.
And with that, the motion on the floor, I will give it to Hunter Brown. You have made the motion to endorse. I will let you speak in favor. We will have 2 speakers in favor and 2 against before we move it to vote.
All right, thank you, Carrie. So Christiana came to 2 of our forums. Currently D5, about 2/3 of D5 is in the 46, and she got our endorsement on the last Tuesday. And I'm sorry, they got our endorsement. Christiana is the former co-chair of the Seattle Renter and Disability Commission. They worked to pass the first sub-minimum wage law in Seattle and Olympia. They're a social equity consultant with clients nationwide. They have lived experience with intersex as Black, queer, non-binary, multiply disabled, and formerly homeless person, and is a member of the 36. I was really impressed with Christiana's background, their record of building community and organizing and basically having all of the values that Democrats represent. I'm really impressed with how they organized in the 46 and built a community of support through grassroots organizing. Really impressed when I had the chance to hear more about Christiana's background and lived experience. I think that they have something quite unique that the city really needs and is lacking, especially with regards to some of our more difficult problems that we are trying to overcome as a city as we grow, issues around income inequality and housing instability. So they've demonstrated ability to build a broad coalition, leave room for everyone's voice at the table. They have clear policy goals, and data to back up those policy goals, as well as their own lived experience. I just can't say enough good things about Christiana. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have a speaker against the motion on the floor, which is the nomination of Christiana Oberseminar for their endorsement? Do we have a speaker against? Do we have a speaker against? Hearing none, we will now move this to vote. If you can please, with an asterisk before your name, use your reactions tab. A green yes, or a red no. Again, this will require a 2/3 majority vote of the King County Democrat Central Committee for the endorsement. I'll get number 30 seconds. Thank you. Got 30 more seconds. Thank you, everyone, for contributing your voice tonight. Great. It looks like we have most folks. I'm going to give it 10 more seconds. And Dwight, thank you. It looks like it's working. We have 32 in favor. And I'm going to just check with my credentialing. I believe we have met the 2/3 threshold. I'm going to clear all feedback.
Yes.
As official. Thank you, Christiana. They have earned our endorsement for the King County Democrats. Thank you so much. Next motion on the floor is the nomination of Alex Hudson for Seattle City Council District 3, made by Paul Chapman. And I will let Paul, if you would like to speak in favor of your motion, we will have 2 speakers in favor and 2 against.
Sophia Lee is going to speak in favor for us here.
Thank you. Sophia Lee, the floor is yours.
Okay, so yeah, for as far as the 43rd District Democrats, we on our last meeting we have endorsed Alex Hudson, we have endorsed her by a very good margin, and with the majority of D3 being within our district, I feel like the good majority of it, I feel like the will of our party has spoken in regards to this. Alex is a very progressive candidate, and they have been showing up. They have shown their values multiple times, I feel like. And also this being D3, being Shama's old district, I feel like it is important to carry on that work and bring a very strong progressive candidate and to support them going forward. And yeah, and once again, 43rd is like all in for Alex.
Thank you so much. Do we have a speaker against the nomination of Alex Hudson for Seattle City Council District 3? Do you have any speakers against the nomination for Alex Hudson for District 3? Last call before we move it to vote. Any speakers against the nomination for Alex Hudson for District 3? Hearing none, I will now move this to vote. If you can use your reactions tab at the bottom of your screen, using the green for yes and the red for no. Thank you. Everyone with an asterisk before your name, please get your vote in. I will give it 30 more seconds.
For what it's worth, we're at a mathematical certainty.
Thank you. And with that, and we also have another vote for Alex. The total is 32. And with that, Alex Hudson has the King County Democratic endorsement for Seattle City Council Race District 3. So thank you, everybody. I am going to clear all feedback. The next motion on the floor is a dual endorsement for Seattle City Council School Board race. The King County Democrats has endorsed Liz Rankin. And with that, Paul Chapman has moved forward Debbie Carlson, and I will let him speak in favor of his motion.
Oh, I didn't, I wasn't the one who brought that forward. Sorry.
Apology, I looked at a different one. I'm just gonna ask, hands raised. I may have wrote down the wrong name for who endorsed Debbie Carlson. Shep, thank you. I will let you speak in favor of your motion.
The 36th endorsed Debbie Carlson as a sole endorsement. We've interviewed both candidates and both were very impressive during the interviews, but we went with Debbie Carlson for her energy, her progressive values, and for her just her general approach to the school board. And we would encourage, we think a dual endorsement is warranted. That's all I got.
Thank you. Do we have a speaker against the dual endorsement for Debbie Carlson? Again, this will require a 2/3 majority vote. Tara Gallagher, I see your hand raised.
Yes, we've already endorsed a candidate in this race, and Debbie just does not bring enough to the race to really be worthy of the endorsement. Debbie's a fine person, but she's very vague on policy, and also really is just not directly responsive even when asked questions about the policy. So again, this is someone who, is not terrible, but just is not bringing anything specific. She's talking in good generalities, but has not suggested any real knowledge in depth of the district or of exactly what you would do with the policy. So I do recommend against a dual endorsement in this race.
Thank you so much. Do we have another speaker in favor of the dual endorsement of Debbie Carlson for Zettel School Board race? Do we have another speaker in favor? Stephanie, I see your hand raised.
Sure. I'd be happy to add a little bit more from the perspective of the endorsement from the 36th. I thought that Debbie's perspectives as a parent and a parent of LGBTQ children, and I believe as a foster parent, brought some useful perspectives about some of the children that are hardest to serve in our school systems. And I was impressed with the ways that she's talking about transparency within the school board. And as someone who is a parent in Seattle public school system and gets quite lost trying to follow how information flows to families, I appreciated that being an important message that Debbie was bringing. And I think that she is worthy of a dual endorsement.
Thank you so much. Chris Porter, are you speaking against the endorsement?
I am, yes, thank you.
Great, you have the floor.
I am not and had never really have been a fan of dual endorsements. I know both of the candidates, and we've never reached a point in any of this discussion where it is so gripping and compelling that we are torn to endorse one candidate or the other because they are so equal, so outstanding, and so high above the bar. The endorsement has to mean something for a candidate to move forward and to stand proudly and say, I'm the sole endorsed person of this particular organization. And I think that is worthy of sticking to what we've already decided because we do have a good candidate. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We've had 2 speakers in favor and 2 speakers against. We will now move this to vote on the nomination for dual endorsement for Debbie Carlson for Seattle School Board race. If you can use your reactions tab at the bottom of your screen, yes in favor of dual endorsement, which will require a 2/3 majority, or use the reactions tab no. And I will give it 2 minutes. Do you have an asterisk before your name and you're voting? Please get your vote in. I will give it 30 more seconds. Thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. Get your calling last call. Give it 10 more seconds. And with that, we have 20 against, 8 for, the motion fails. I'm going to go ahead and clear all feedback. That is the last of our motions. And because we have candidates here, I would like to offer, before we go to good of the order, the ability for those candidates that are here to say thank you to the board members who we have endorsed. And I know we have one candidate who is running in the Seattle City Council race District 5, who is here, who would like to address the body. And with that, I will let them 1 minute to address the body and give thanks. So Christiana Obersummer, you have the floor.
Hello, everyone. I just want to thank you so much for your endorsement, for the amazing and beautiful words that Hunter shared today. I'm so excited to have your endorsement, as well as the endorsement of the 46th and 36th Democrats, and so many other amazing folks that support the King County Democrats, such as Nicole Gomez, who is the former chair of the 36th and current director of the Institute for Democratic Future, which I'm an alumni of, the 36th LD Senator Noel Frame, 37th LD Senator Rebecca Saldana, the 37th LD Representative Paulo Street, the 46th LD Senator Maria Farivar, Sage Leaders, One America, Planned Parenthood, LGBTQ Victory Fund, LPAC. It's been amazing to be able to have the support from the community, and I know that this is the next natural step in the work that I've been proven to have helped people in front and behind the scenes, and will continue to do so if elected. We can find collective, effective, and sustainable policy solutions that will get to the heart of the issues facing our district, and I thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. And with that, we are good of the order. So thank you for such a productive meeting tonight. If you want to use your raised hands, we will go through good of the order, and then we will let you get back to helping all of our endorsed candidates get across the finish line. Hannah Floss.
Hi, I just wanted to let everybody know that our election is coming up, and we've got training to become an election observer if you would like to do that. We've got 5 dates available the week of October 16th through 20th, and I'll drop a link in the chat, or I'll send it over to Carrie, I guess, for her to drop, where you can sign up to do that. We've got more Republican observers right now certified than we have Democratic. And your training is good for 2 years. So if you want to observe in the 2024 election, you can get trained now, do it for this election and all the coming elections in 2024. So thanks for your help.
Thank you. I want to encourage every single person who is a part of this executive board to please take this training. If we are outnumbered by Republicans, we've got to meet parity. And I just want to say, please, either yourself, your neighbors, or your family. This is very important and vital to our democracy. Thank you, Hannah, for all you do. Melissa Taylor.
Yeah, some of you have probably seen this news, but we have a millionaire who is trying to buy his way out of the capital gains tax by funding a slew of initiatives, probably basically putting ones in there, I think, that will encourage churches to have the whole stack of initiatives for people to sign. And so we are going to need to have a decline to sign effort for 8. I think it's 8 different initiatives. But Washington State is not for sale. But it does mean that we are going to have to work pretty hard to kill these initiatives, either hopefully this year, and if not this year, next year. It's also a turnout threat for next year. Having this many initiatives with a bunch of people's hot buttons on it next year, it's not great for us. So killing them this year is definitely preferable. And just wanted to make sure everybody knew that there is literally a stack of initiatives out there now. So anyway, thank you all for your work, and thanks for making sure that your LDs are all aware that we need to do decline to sign notifications for our organizations and members.
Thank you so much. Chris Porter, I see your hand raised.
Thank you. All of you know Carlos, or have heard that Carlos Ruiz is running for position 4 in Highline School District. And what's more important is Highline has historically suffered from a very strong support of Democratic support in that district, whether it was from levies that they wanted to replace the school, fire stations, and certainly the school boards. What he's faced with now is being overrun by the inflow of cash by his opposition, who's this nutbag side of the party. And it really is, if you can give $5, $10, $50, I certainly have, to support his campaign, because he is just being overrun by the negative talking points, and Highline certainly deserves much better than that, much better. And we can get him there, I think.
I have a quick question. Do you have information on how we can support him financially to put in chat for?
I will put his campaign thing in the chat real quick.
And I will send all the links out in a summary out to all of you. So please, I encourage you to share this with your legislative districts as you give your reports. Thank you, Chris. Roger Ledbetter.
You're muted.
There I go. I just wanted to share something that Sept's been doing that's been really fun. For years, we've tried to participate in all the festivals that occur out in North End and Snoqualmie and Maple Valley Days. But this year, we added a Wheel of Fortune, and we thought it'd act as an attractant. And our Wheel of Fortune has 5 colors, and we wrote up questions to go with each color. So blue is questions on Democrats, red's questions on Republicans, and so on. There's one on environment, the economy, and the Constitution. And it's worked out to be something that worked much better than we had anticipated. It's a real magnet for children coming up, and they come with their parents. And we've just had the most fun and so many laughs doing this. It's worked out really well. Like we had to go back to the drawing board and write up a whole bunch of questions for children because there were so many children's coming. One of them is, does the American flag have stars or stripes, or stars and stripes? And so when a 4 or 5-year-old there is struggling with that question, one of us is in the booth waving a little American flag, and until they get the right answer. Anyhow, we just it's really worked out well to bring people into our booth, share a few smiles, a few laughs, have a good time, and send them on with a good feeling about Democrats. If any of you are doing festivals, I would really encourage you to look into doing something like this. I think our Wheel of Fortune was $40, and I've got $1,000 worth of laughs out of it. I'll tell you that. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Christiana De Leon.
Hi, thank you, everybody. So I've just been one of the ones taking notes for this meeting, and I just wanted to remind everybody, we've had a lot of conversations, especially around Seattle candidates, and I know that those are very strong and heartfelt opinions. I want to gently and kindly remind folks about some of the races happening in the district writ large. I think we're talking about school board candidates where there's, relatively speaking, margins of error within a different realm in a sense of differences. I'm trying to think of better words for this, but where I'm at, we have school board candidates where we essentially have two, like the people who made it through the primary election are both Moms for Liberty candidates at the same moment that we're talking today. In one of my other cities, in Black Diamond jurisdictions, we had 2 school board members drop out, leave, even though one of them was up for re-election. And now we have to seriously worry about Moms for Liberty candidates taking control of an additional school board. So I will kindly, in the best way I can, and gently but enthusiastically encourage my friends in Seattle to put that same energy that they found in these dual endorsements out into other parts of the county where we are severely needing additional support, and we could easily have ourselves with fascist candidates while we're kind of mincing words in a blue area. So I've just been taking notes on this, but I am just quietly observing it and just heavily and strongly encouraging those with passion and resolve to please join us in South and East King County, where it does not look like Seattle. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there a contact, or could we, if for folks who want to get involved, could they contact you? What would be the best way for our greater, as this e-board goes out to the LDs and gives the report, to get involved?
You know, I don't want to be the gatekeeper for some of the South and East districts, but I would be happy to kindly recommend also folks in the 5th LD who are doing some really good work, among others. But, you know, at the very least, I can put my info in chat just for convenience and then pass on the right information to the right people. Because again, like, these are not always candidates we have necessarily endorsed, and I don't want to go outside of that or prolong the meeting more. But I just really want to encourage people to look just maybe to find a neighbor and help them out. So I'll put in my info, but I'm just not the end all be all there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Holly Hill, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, I just want to let everybody know that I put the list of the initiatives in the chat. I ran across these at Target, and they seem to be targeting targets. They're hiring signature gatherers. Unfortunately, they are people of color that they're paying to do this, and all of these initiatives would have a negative effect on everybody. And
we cannot understand or hear you very well. Can you repeat?
Oh, sorry about that. I did put all the initiatives in the chat, and I ran into this at Target, and they are doing this at Target. So it's just a stack of 6 or 7 initiatives, and just reason for this one.
Thank you so much. Judy Gibbs.
Yeah, Chris asked us to support a particular candidate, and I didn't get the name of the candidate. Can you please repeat that, Chris?
It is now our endorsed school board member.
Yes, Carlos Ruiz, Highline District School Position number 4.
Okay, thank you.
And Judy, when I send a follow-up, I'm going to send a summary out to all of us, so you will see that. And I'm going to include Chris Porter's link. I'm going to include everything in chat. So as we give this report and as we pass this information along, there's actionable items for our local Democrats to take forward.
Yeah, I thought you said that, but I wanted to be sure that got in. So thank you for doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other folks who want to raise their hand for good of the order? Tim Burns.
Madam Chair, I move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
There is a second.
Are there any objections? Any objections? Any objections? Hearing none. Thank you for such a productive, amazing meeting tonight. I look forward to seeing you all on the campaign trail with our endorsed candidates. I just appreciate the candidates and those that advocate for those. There was a second. Who seconded? I just saw that in chat.
You mean to end? Yes.
Yes.
It's me. Yes.
I think I heard. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.